Hello and welcome to Productivity Nerd, a podcast all about getting shit done, hopefully in an elegant way that doesn't leave you too broken. In our crazy worlds, we're all about balancing the need to work enough to make ends meet, enough not to annoy our bosses, but also enough that we feel like we've done enough, which can be a whole different psychological and emotional ballgame, along with the human need to rest and stay well. Plus, on top of that, we'd quite like to enjoy ourselves, maybe just a little bit along the way, spending quality time with those we love. I, for one, love hearing about how people get that balance and work more efficiently so they have more time to do the things that they love. Hello and welcome back to Productivity Nerd. I'm your host, Kathy, lover of to-do lists, post-it notes, and of course, that magical moment when you tick something off your to-do list and feel like a winner. Today, we are diving into a deceptively simple but seriously powerful topic, micro wins and macro goals, and why those little fist pump moments when you tick something off are actually the fuel that keeps our motivation engines running. So I follow a chap called Brad Stulberg on Instagram, highly recommend it. He has many, many wise words, and I'm pretty sure we're going to do one of his books soon on the main pod. The man talks a lot of sense. He's studied excellence, that's kind of what he does, and I love this quote from his latest book. There is no greater illusion than thinking the accomplishment of some goal will change your life. What will change your life is who you become in the process of going for it. A little thought experiment that brought to mind for me, if you will. Today in the UK, as I record this, it's the London Marathon. 26.2 miles of hell, in my world. I mean, not for others. For elite athletes who bash these out every week, to Bob from Chingford, who decided that he wanted to do a marathon to raise money for a cause that he believes deeply in. He might have started his journey with a Couch to 5K app, and a bit of a beer gut, and terrible trainers. Poor Bob, in my imagination, is probably about now going to be mile 3. He won't feel too bad. He's got over that initial weird objection that our bodies seem to do, where, you start running and after 2 minutes, it just goes, no, not today. I've got an itch. No, not today. My feet hurt. Why do our bodies do that? It's hilarious. Anyway, he's got past that and he's now just settling into the right pace. He's loving the crowds, the sunshine, and he's reflecting on all the training he's done to get to this point. Now, do you think back when he first decided to do this, if he could have bought a pill for, I don't know, 100 quid, that meant he would, with no training, no effort, no sweat, be able to just rock up this morning and run a marathon in 4 hours and get over the finish line, it would feel so momentous? No, it wouldn't. The whole thing would become meaningless. The point of having a huge, scary goal like running a marathon is that process of achieving it. It changes you for the better. I mean, of course, the medal at the end is amazing, but if you didn't have to work for it, what does it mean? So here's the thing, most of us have our big goals floating around in our lives, write a book, launch a business, buy a house, learn Spanish. These are big goals, sexy goals, and of course we love them. But the problem with these big macro goals is that they're big and they're far away, and they can be motivating, they're a guiding star, until they become overwhelming and it feels like you're never going to get there. Because the daily grind, like Bob, turning down boozy Saturday nights in the pub so he could get up without a hangover Sunday morning and do his big run for the week, well, it's not fun, is it, doing that week after week after week? It gets old fast. But as we've said, or as Brad says, the work is what makes the goal worth doing. Now, Brad talks a lot about mental resilience and says we can build it. I totally agree. I do not sit myself into a freezing barrel of water every morning because it's fun, right? I do it because it reminds me I have the inner strength to do horrible, disgusting things. I tell myself I did it yesterday, I can do it today, and then after that sort of thought process, the next words out of my brain are usually suck it up, princess. That's kind of how it tends to go. Just as I'm about to wimp out and go, up to the knees is fine today. That's when I remind myself I did it yesterday, I can do it today. I have that inner strength to do something frankly horrible. Brad describes it a bit like this. Mental toughness is not always about feeling good. It's about staying anchored even when you don't. You can feel anxious and still perform at your best. You can feel down and still support a loved one. You can feel doubt and step into the arena. Your brain is plastic. Your mind is adaptive. You are not fixed. Every time you approach challenges and return after setbacks, you're building capacity. You're building your mental toughness. Thank you, Brad. Strong suck it up princess vibe for him too. Love it. But all this sounds grim, doesn't it? I mean, I get it, but let's make it a bit less SAS and a touch more Disney, can we? For our fluffy selves that can't always be that resilient. So, well, enter the humble micro win. These are the tiny, seemingly insignificant things that you get done along the way. Writing 200 words of that book, sending the outreach mail to one potential new client, clearing your inbox. Not sexy, not glamorous, but when we notice them and we celebrate them, that's a bit of motivation magic. A little counterbalance to the stick-at-itness that we all know is really key. Our brains are basically like little Labrador puppies. They want treats. And each micro win gives us a little dopamine hit, a well done you that nudges us forward. Because to be honest, if you only ever allow yourself to feel good once you've finished the whole flipping thing, right? Once you've written the book, once you've lost 2 stone, once you've finally figured out what doing more yoga means, you're going to spend most of your time feeling like you're failing until you get to the thing. And as we've discussed, that's a moment in time. Once you get there, you go, woohoo, then what? Right? So we need that journey to be the goal in itself to a certain extent. And that journey has to have some good bits as well as the suck it up princess bits. So when you start to recognize, hey, I did 5 minutes of yoga today instead of, scrolling on Instagram, that's a win. And wins stack up, momentum builds, and motivation compounds. One of my favorite ways to capture micro wins, because we all have them every day, we just tend to gloss wildly over them, right? Is a to-do list. Yeah, not a to-do list, a to-do list. Everything you did today goes on a list. Sent an invoice, ta-da! Finally called the dentist, ta-da! Finally rewrote your email signature because it said sent from my BlackBerry and we're not living in 2009 anymore. Ta-da! Seriously, try it for a week. You'll be amazed at how much you actually accomplish and how good it feels. Now, obviously, I'm not saying abandon the big goals. God, no. And I'm not saying don't build that mental grit. It's helpful. It's necessary. But what I am saying is break them down. Zoom in. What's the very next step? Not write my website, but maybe it's draft homepage headline. That's a win you can take today. So macro goals, they're our compass. They give us direction for the journey. And micro wins, they're the little footsteps that get us there. And you can't get anywhere without them. So I'm currently getting over hip surgery and I'm doing a lot of physio. There was one movement I've been completely unable to do on my left leg. In fact, it was so impossible, I actually checked I could do it on my right because I genuinely was starting to question it. I can do it on my right, I just don't have any muscles on my left in that particular spot. But every day this week I've been attempting to lift my leg off this sodding pillow on the bed, just like a centimetre, a millimetre. I take anything. And every day I've told my brain, lift your leg. And sometimes even hilariously doing a little demo for my brain with my right leg going, look, that's how it works. And I found this morning that my leg moved, like just a bit, tiny bit. Not a lot, but it's a millimetre. And I'm very excited and it's on my to-do list because physio hurts and it's boring. I mean, I think that's the very essence of physio, right? Boring but necessary, easy to think, sod it. But today, that millimetre of progress is my ta-da. I videoed it and everything because I was that excited. Tragic. But small wins help, right? I know I'm going to be trying to do that exercise for flipping months and it's probably going to take that long before I see my leg raise anywhere near the distance my right one can go. So seeing any movement is a to-do. As you go about your day today, ask yourself, what is one small thing I did that moved me forward? And then give yourself a little cheer, pat on the back, God, have a cake, whatever. Because progress isn't always loud or big. Sometimes it's a little ta-da. So until next time, check out Brad on Instagram. He is well worth a follow. Keep your list short, your wins tiny, and your dopamine flowing. So that has been Productivity Nerd. Remember, friends, every Everest climb starts with putting your socks on. Thanks for listening. See you soon.